Before we get into our tier, is there one word to describe the 2023 season?
Dumpster fire, garbage
That's
in an
that's
alleyway.
three,
Most
No,
that's four,
I
five, six,
just
seven, eight,
say
nine.
I would just say chaos because the
Yeah,
the whole league got kind of flipped upside down the first 2 weeks. It's kind of somewhat returning to normal. You're seeing a lot of playmakers that weren't very active in week 1 or 2 that have kind of started to produce the last couple of weeks. But those first 2 weeks, it was like everything got flipped upside down. Nobody knew what was up. So
the church is streaking though.
the church is doing great.
The church is streaking.
yeah, yeah, the church is
Yeah,
doing well. All
yeah. The
right.
the ties are wonderful.
Very much so.
All right,
All
but
right,
yeah,
so
so
let's go ahead and go into our tier
Quarterbacks.
one QBs.
Ease. I will
All
tell
right.
you, I didn't realize
Okay,
how
go ahead.
crazy it was until I did quarterbacks, and then I went, "Oh crap, this year's been weird."
Yeah,
Yeah.
QB's pretty bad.
So,
Um,
I say let's go now. Do y'all want to? I say let's go 1 to 12 this time. Just I think we need to get our obvious out the way. I really think it's kind of your lower tier, like end low tier QB ones
Yeah.
that are really going to make the difference this year. So, who is everyone's QB one?
one Jalen Hurts.
Same.
Really,
hmm
Jalen Hurts is my two.
It's that
So,
tush push, dude. It's the
so
tush push.
it's not just the
Those,
push push. I think he has decent matchups down the stretch. So, like for example, in playoffs, he has Seattle, Giants, and Arizona. That's his playoffs.
Ooh,
Even you can
okay.
argue that Buffalo and Kansas City are somewhat favorable matchups for him. I mean, he has the Niners and Cowgirls after that, but like even then, he can still produce good points.
Okay, you know what? After seeing who my QB one's playoff schedule is, Jalen Hurts is now QB one. I am changing it.
Welcome
yeah.
back.
See, Jalen
He
Hurts.
does his
Jalen
homework.
Hurts. No matter,
Josh sucks.
no matter who Jalen Hurts plays, like he's going to produce
Oh yeah,
either with his legs or with his
Yeah.
arms, and that tush push is almost unstoppable. He got it. They stopped it today,
yeah. Washington
surprisingly,
got him today, but then they faked it and
but
gave it to Swift, who scored on him, which is just
yeah,
disrespectful. But
Which now we know now what's worse for every team after that, they're like, crap, now we do have to worry about a fake.
oh
yeah,
yeah, can you imagine they put like all 10 guys inside and you just flip it out and it's like, well, I'm gonna go
yeah.
now.
But yeah, I mean,
So okay, so all of our QBs, QB
yeah,
ones
yeah, I
is
am
Jalen
changing it to
Hurts, correct?
Hurts,
I
and
mean,
the
just playoff
difference is
schedule alone, like he's gonna score 40 in all three of those games.
Yeah,
playoff schedule is the thing that changed it for me between that and my QB two. Which I mean, I'll start off with my QB two here. I got
yeah.
Josh
Go ahead.
Allen.
Yeah, Josh Allen. Yep,
Yep,
100% agree.
And
for sure.
I want to say here's a big thing here, and I think it's something to note as far as the skill players of the Bills. It does feel like the Bills are going to be very stubborn here, and they're going to be like Josh Allen's going to have to win the game, which means little concern about the ceiling of James Cook, but it does mean the floor should be kind of decent. But um, but like Diggs, Gabe Davis, like it's all going to be on Josh, and we'll see what happens, but I do think it means Josh's stock is going to increase, like is going to skyrocket, but that could mean a lot of inconsistency with the rest of the skilled players.
Mhm. Yeah, mine is Josh Allen as well. I
But it
think he's
looks like
just
he's gonna
got
start running more. So
very high ceiling.
And that's my
So
fear because we've seen what happens, and we also saw what
yeah,
happened last year. And I think they've just kind of any plan they had in the offseason, they've completely shifted and said, this is just what works, and we're just going to keep going with it.
yep.
yeah.
All righty, guys. QB3.
Rion.
Mr. Patty Mahomes.
Yep. As for me and my
Lamar
Mahomes,
Jackson.
no.
See, Lamar Jackson's my number 4.
So I'll
Lamar
give you
has
that.
been
Mahomes is my 4, Lamar's my 3.
Not
I
crazy.
just think
Okay.
I just think Mahomes is only going to be defeated by his immune system, as you eloquently said earlier,
Yeah.
Josh. But for me, like also playoff schedule, he plays New England, then he plays the Raiders, then he plays the Bengals. I mean, even the Bengals in Week 17, it's a Mahomes and Burrow matchup. That's always, a
yeah.
good. Um,
There's only one fear I have with the Chiefs right now, and
whoa,
it
our
is
schedule is crazy. Jacksonville, San Francisco, and Miami for playoffs.
San Francisco. Has been a little bit weaker, so that one interested in. Miami,
It's fine.
considering, yeah, that one's a fine matchup.
Jacksonville,
Jacksonville's a little bit tougher than anticipated, but the Ravens did well against them last year. So I'm interested to see. The offense is still not in its final form. I would not be surprised to see a trade get announced by now and
gosh, you
the
sound like
31st.
it worked last year. Well, coach, you still lost the game, so it's crazy how that works. How last year is different than this year.
That is very true. I just say they
It's all-
worked last year, and now with more weapons, and I would confidently say a better scheme this year.
Lamar is.
However,
I just think it's schedule.
I think the schedule is fair. I think it's pretty even at this point because I have very big worries about Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, Rashi Rice, and it really depends on Travis Kelce staying healthy. I would not be surprised to see the Kansas City make some moves because clearly those receivers. I'm going to say minus Rashi Rice because he is a rookie, but for Sky Moore, Toney, MVS, something's just not clicking.
Mhm.
All right. Well, QB5.
Yeah, let's go QB5. I got Tua.
Yeah, Tua. One Tua.
Oh, see, I have Herbert.
Oh,
I have Herbert right behind him at 6.
Okay. Yeah, see, Herbert's my number 5. I think they're
Herbert's
just
my
in a high-powered. Herbert's in a high-powered
Herb-powered
offense.
offense.
Herb-powered
Herb
offense.
powered
Yeah,
offense.
Herb-powered.
No, he's in a high-powered offense, and I just think he's gonna produce.
Well, thank
So,
you for the title of the episode.
especially because they don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
Herb-powered. No,
Herb.
especially because they don't really
Herb-powered.
have much of a defense. So
Yeah,
that
I mean, not
Herb
much of a
power is
deep
going to come out.
defense. I totally see. I totally see why you would put Herbert there. I put Tua
Yeah.
there in 5 though, just because when things are not working, they have clearly said we are not moving away from Tua. We're going to keep throwing. So in any of the
Yeah.
bad games, it does feel like the running backs take the hit most of the time, rather than Tua.
Yeah. So I mean, like looking at schedule, I can see that, but I think you're right whenever it breaks down to it keeps working because he has Jets, Cowboys, and Ravens, which is a very hard schedule. But I mean, in terms of Tua and the wide receivers, I wouldn't be worried at all. If you
Yeah,
have
No,
that sucks, but
because I have
I
Tua at my number 6 spot.
yeah. So it's not nothing too crazy out of the ordinary. So I mean, obviously Herbert for I believe Ethan and I is at 6.
Mhm.
Who is QB7?
Which he has a good schedule. Speaking of which, really quickly, he has Raiders, Buffalo, and Denver for playoffs.
Ooh, that's actually
Okay.
that's a sneaky, fantastic schedule. Now, the question is this team going to stay the way it is, or will changes be made, considering they are 2 and
Mhm.
4?
So QB7 was going to be one Mr. Chains, but he just blew an Achilles today, so prayers out for him. So, but
And
instead,
that completely changes the landscape as far as the wide receiver position is concerned.
so now Jay Jettas definitely isn't coming back. The Vikings are going to tank, and Jared Goff is QB7.
Nope.
Okay, I have Goff at 8. I got one Joe Burrow at 7.
I
Joey.
see. Me and Josh have the same. I have Joe Burrow, then Jared Goff.
I have
Yeah.
Joe Burrow at 8.
Okay.
I think
So you just flipped them.
yeah, so we're right there. Like
We're
I think
within margin of error.
yes. give or take literally one spot, to be honest. Like we haven't had a crazy list. Running back is a different exception. However,
One Tyrod Taylor,
I
maybe.
no,
If
no,
also
stop
got
it.
injured today.
I know, dude. So he looks great as in a Giants uniform. Just a side note, but
You're a married man, Josh. That's who you spent your hall pass
keep the
on?
silence. Keep the
Taylor
silence.
in Giants
Oh my
uniform?
god.
That
No,
silence was
no. Honestly, legitimately, I am happy for Tyrod just because I don't know how he ended up being a 6th round pick in 2013. Was with the Ravens, then the Bills, then bouncing around, and then finally gets another shot with the Giants, and that his arm is still live. It still rocks,
Yeah.
and it's like pretty crazy to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But the reason why I put Burrow at 7 is because, I mean, you saw it from the earlier stretch. If he's not going, there is no other option. And so Burrow has to be on at all times in order for this offense to work. And I think with the bye week, and especially today's, I would say dominating
He almost just
performance
put
over
30
this.
on San Francisco.
No, he did put 30 on San Francisco. So I think
8.82. But
fair point. Fair point.
Yeah, he was flexing today.
Yeah, so I definitely think Burrow is like back and he's going to be a late season riser.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
pretty good schedule. I mean,
KC isn't terrible.
Yeah, well, that goes right back to Goff. Goff might have the best playoff schedule.
His is okay. I wouldn't say it's the best. It's not better than Herb's. But yeah, Denver, Minnesota, and Dallas isn't a bad schedule. I mean, it's just the ship of, is he going to be able to do it against Dallas? But I mean, he's going to have to throw in that game regardless. So it should be him personally.
And if there's anything that can slow down, that Dallas defense, you're just going to have to run the ball and just kind of control the clock, and that is something I think we all believe that Detroit Lions can do. So let's go quarterback 9. Who do we have?
I'm sticking with Russ.
I got Russ as
Oh
well.
man, I got Russ too.
Hey, there we go.
That's
listen,
awesome.
Like Russ is just consistent, man. He's got top 5 QB numbers. I mean, it's not translating as much to fantasy, but like in terms of real reality, this is a top 5 quarterback who's just had a absurdly bad defense at the start of the year. I think they're actually going to be buyers before Tuesday, and the team's going to get better.
I definitely think so. I don't think they'll be huge buyers to where they're giving up 1st-round picks again, but I mean, this is a big win that they just had over the Chiefs. But I think you're right, Eden. He has been good. The rest of the team has not. Well, maybe minus outside of Cortland Sutton and Jaleel McLaughlin and Javonte.
And
that's it.
I mean, his toughest playoff game will be Detroit, but same thing. He's going to have to throw his way out of that game.
Yep, exactly. All right, so let's move on to quarterback 10. Who do y'all have?
This is where it gets hard.
I'll tell you. This is my curveball.
Okay.
So I guess I'll start here. I have Kyler Murray at 10.
I don't know if there's enough.
No.
I don't think he'll quite sneak in. I think Kyler is going to be good for the end of the season, but I don't think he's going to quite sneak into tier 1.
So,
well, and with how Dobbs has played, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, they've already said Dobbs is starting next week.
Well, so I mean, I'm not starting Kyler against Cleveland's defense in his first game back. Yeah. But I mean, here's the thing. I think I have been very impressed with how Dobbs has played. And to where there is a question for you guys I do want to bring up at the end of this little quarterback section here, because there are tier 2 quarterbacks that will impact the rest of the season. But what I do appreciate out of this Cardinals team is that the coaching, I feel like, is much better, even though the record doesn't show it. I feel like they will actually scheme things up. I actually do feel like receivers are getting open. And I think with Kyler, with Hollywood, James Conner coming back, I really do believe that we're in a sweet position to where Kyler could just jump out of the gates running. I think it's very possible given we've already lost Kirk. We've already have seen a lot of other players just kind of go down the wayside. I mean, Fields being another example of that. So I do think Kyler sneaks in here. I understand 10 might be high. Realistically, probably 12. But I just have a good feeling that it's going to be if you can get Kyler, it's going to be very nice.
I think I'm gonna stay with Purdy at 10.
So Purdy is my first man out.
Like, what do you mean? Your first man out?
He would be QB 13 for me.
Okay, gotcha. He's my 12.
Okay. So, but give or take, roughly in the same spot, I would say. I mean, give or take 3 spots now. For Purdy. So tell Ethan, why do you have Purdy? Why are you the highest on Purdy?
I think for me, Purdy's just very consistent and he has a very good team. I think is my reason for it. Like he's gonna drop like 20 a night. He has CMC, like his playoff schedule is Arizona, Baltimore, and Washington. Like, that's a decent playoff schedule. The hardest team he's gonna face before the playoffs is the Eagles. Other than that, every other game should be pretty manageable for him and the Niners defense. I just think he's going to get the attempts from the defense, getting stops, turnovers, consistent. He has CMC again. He's found a really good chemistry with Ayuk. I think it's just going to be consistency that keeps him right where he's at, which is 10.
I think that's fair. I would have had Purdy at 10 had it not been for the last few games where it's just been like, okay, something's off. I haven't really been able to figure out exactly what's off, minus the second half of the Vikings, because that seems like a pretty easy answer. That being he was concussed. But as far as like there is some dysfunction when Debo went out, but I don't know exactly why that's the case. So I wonder if it's just something else teams are picking on when it comes to Purdy's game. But I think you're right, Ethan. He's still extremely consistent, and I think consistency, especially if you have him right now and your team's loaded everywhere else, that might be the way to go.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's go QB 11. Who do we have?
Justin
Fields.
Justin Fields.
Good. I have Fields as well.
All right, that's
At least easy.
man is
who's QB 12?
Playoffs, even though he has Cleveland first.
Yeah,
But then
my QB 12 is Brock Purdy.
Okay.
My 12 is Lawrence.
My 12 is Lawrence as well.
Okay.
And I think Lawrence has the potential to be top 8 for sure. However, the Jaguars haven't needed him to be top 8.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only thing that's keeping me down.
And they still have to play the Bengals and Browns.
Yep.
Playoffs is Baltimore, but then it's Tampa Bay, Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, literally, I think Jaguars are in a situation of too many options, to be honest with you.